Namaskar. The topic today is meditation is better than drugs. I will talk about drugs and alcohol and all types of intoxication which are there in human culture. Somehow the practice of intoxication, of getting drunk, has become very important for human beings. All over the planet, not in one place, but everywhere. You take the example of India, Africa, America, Siberia, everywhere, Europe. People found the ways how to become intoxicated, how to become drunk for different purposes. Recreational purposes, for the purpose of relaxation, for the purpose of creativity, and even for spiritual purposes. But of course, you know that most of the substances are extremely harmful for our physical health, our mental health, destroy our personality, destroy the willpower, etc. But still, intoxication is very important. Intoxication is very important. So I will say that meditation is better than drugs. For example, when you take alcohol, one interesting effect happens. Because of the nervous system becomes disabled. It cannot anymore carry the signal from the external world efficiently. The signal just doesn't go through. The fats of the nerves, they become dissolved by alcohol, and the neurons, they become all glued together, and the signal is not going through. So you become dissociated from the world. You are finding yourself in a bubble of your own existence. And at that moment, what do you feel? You feel strong, confident, happy. You are there in the bubble of your own existence. And people do it because many times we live not our own lives. Something has been imposed on us, we follow it, but I don't feel what am I? What is what I want? What I am? I don't feel that. So that's why people take alcohol, to feel for a moment, to feel myself, to be myself. I want to be myself. It is such a great and wonderful and important feeling. And without that feeling, you can just become mad. That's why alcohol has become, it's like a therapy for many people. In meditation, you dissociate your mind from the external environment, dissociate the mind from the body. You also find yourself in a bubble of yourself, in your own world, in your own feeling. So the person becomes spontaneous. He can finally live his own life. So this is one very interesting similarity. That is why when you start meditating, when you start to get this feeling that I can be myself, then the need for the alcohol, the need for the drugs, they are not anymore relevant, and you easy give them up, all the substances. Also, I feel that when you do meditation, somehow meditation repairs the brain and nervous system. Because the substances damage the brain, the nervous system, they bring the internal chemistry out of balance. So then, as a result of that imbalance, different addictions are created. And when you meditate, I cannot explain scientifically how it happens, but out of practical experience, I would say that nervous system is getting repaired. It is being repaired and repaired and repaired. I would say it will take from 6 months to 12 months for that renovation and reparation of the nervous system. And after those 6 months or 12 months, you will just feel, okay, now I don't need those substances anymore. Now addictions are not there anymore. That is another aspect of meditation. Also, there is a divine intoxication. I love this idea and this state. I also love it. Jaduktam Parama Brahma. Even the poetry describing it, the shloka, the verse in Sanskrit, extremely beautiful. Jaduktam Parama Brahma Nirvikaram Niranjanam Tasmin Pramadana Gyanam Tan Madhyam Parikirtitam. The intense longing, the intense desire to know supreme absolute consciousness. Supreme absolute consciousness, which is formless, beyond the form, transcendental, which is also blemishless, extremely pure. When you want to know, when you want to touch with that formless and the most pure reality. So that desire and that effort, that endeavor produces Tasmin Pramadana Gyanam, produces that feeling of intoxication. And it is termed as Madhya Sadhana. That is why Shiva of the Indian mythology, he is often portrayed as smoking ganja, smoking the marijuana. Of course, he doesn't have to smoke because he is in the divine intoxication. Why he has to take any substance? But people who are not aware of spiritual practices, when they look at him, he is totally drunk. Then they think, oh, he must have been smoking. And then it goes, the gossip goes. And then it becomes establishes, okay, Shiva is the god of smoking. He has been smoking himself, and he also ordered us to smoke. So many so-called yogis in India, they smoke. And then they believe that by this they are knowing the transcendental reality. But this kind of intoxication that comes from substances or from alcohol is extremely crude. It is very heavy and it is impure. It pollutes the mind, it pollutes the body. But intoxication, the divine intoxication, it purifies the body and purifies the mind. How it happens? You just have to sit in meditation for a long time. You sit and you strive. You strive. I want to know that formless supreme entity, which is without blemish, which is totally pure. I want to know it. You strive to understand it with the technique. There are different techniques. Even the technique that you learned with Bhavanam Kevalam meditation, it has the potential to awaken that intoxication in you. But there are higher lessons also, which is called dhyana. Dhyana, the lesson of continuous meditation. And then first you will feel your body and mind very light and very happy, just like you are floating on the cloud. And it's like very little, you are a little bit high. You are not stoned, you are a little bit high, you are just like, wow. And you want to laugh, and you want to talk. I mean, if you're sitting in meditation, of course you don't want to talk. But when, after you come out, you just like, your mood is very, very light. Your mood is very, very happy. And then, if you sit longer, and you pursue that state, then you experience you become really, really, really intoxicated. I remember one time with my friend, we came to the river and we sat by the river and then we did for, 3 hours meditation like that. And then we enjoyed many, many beautiful, blissful feelings. And then we broke our meditation, then we wanted to go home. And then he came to me, took me like this, and then we went home. Next morning, he said, Dada, if you were not there yesterday, I am guaranteeing you I would not be able to find my way home. And the same things, you will find this everywhere, in every mystical tradition, in Christianity. There you get high by the Holy Spirit. In Islam, Sufism, Rumi, in Tantra, Hinduism, in yoga, everywhere, in every mystical tradition, this state, the mystics, they have experienced. Like Rumi says, he says, I'm so drunk, I cannot find the way home. I'm so drunk, I cannot find the way home. And then throughout his poetry, he speaks about wine. And what is that wine? It's the hormones of the pineal gland. What exactly those hormones, I cannot say. A research has to be done. The yogi has to meditate, and the doctors, they have to measure the substances in the blood. But I know this brain is the factory, is the chemical factory, producing beautiful substances. And those beautiful substances, they are released in the bloodstream, you become totally high. And then the interesting thing, that next morning you don't feel any heaviness, you don't feel anything, impurity. You feel love towards the universe. Even you can look at the tree, and then at the same moment you will cry. Because why? Because you love this tree so much. You look at the flower, you cry. You love this flower so much. That's the state of purity. There is no lust, there is no anger, there is no greed, jealousy, pride, attachment, fear, nothing. Just purity. Beautiful, beautiful state. And that state is a healing state. Nowadays people, they go to Peru, to the South America, to Brazil, to take different plants there. And they are considered there to be a kind of medicinal plants. But they are, they are psychoactive substances. So yes, and then some people, they report that, yes, we have maybe some things we understood, and then it initiated the process of cure, and then it helped me. Some people say like this. But I would say, why we should depend on any external substances? If our brain, it can produce, if a mushroom can produce it, why my brain cannot produce? If some tree can produce it, why my brain cannot produce? My brain is so complex, so powerful. I will tell him to produce, I will tell the brain to produce, and the brain will produce. So meditation is a treasure house. In the beginning, it takes a little bit of practice, the cultivation, to cultivate the base, the ability to sit in meditation for the longer duration, the ability to concentrate. But once you have built up that ability, then you can enjoy. You can enjoy the blissful flow of life. So that's why it is very, very important. So this is the topic. Jaduktam parama brahma, nirvikaram niranjanam, tasmin pramadana gyanam, tanmadya parikirtitam. The intense longing, intense desire to know, to be united with Supreme Absolute Consciousness results in a feeling of intoxication, which is termed Madhya Sadhana, the divine wine of mystics. You desire to be one with what? With formless and absolutely pure consciousness. I feel very inspired with that. That state is very, very beautiful. So write in the comments whether you like this topic or not. And yeah, thank you very much. Namaskar.